Hello everyone, it's Janet here with another design team project for Wild Orchid Crafts and the Wild Bunch. I am so excited about this project and I'm so happy to share it with you. This is a altered cigar box. I'm in a swap for a tea party altered cigar box, and the one challenge was we had to use some fabric somehow. So this is what I came up with, and I was so happy because it's exactly what I had pictured in my head. I had this idea, and I haven't joined a cigar box swap in a long time. The Secret Squirrel stopped swapping, and I just hadn't joined up with the other girls yet, but when it came to this theme, I just couldn't resist, and I was so happy. I just love teas and tea parties and dressing up and all of that fun stuff, so this was just really right up my alley, so I really had a good time making it. And there's so many details, I don't know if I can share them all with you, but I'll start with the box itself. So I purchased a cigar box from Michael's, and the box is just from here to here. And it was one of those pink ones that are already painted at Michael's, and then I painted over it with old white Annie Sloan chalk paint, and then I distressed over that with the Tim Holtz Victorian, or let's see, it's the Tim Holtz Distress Ink, the Victorian Velvet. And this was perfect for this. And then I went over that with a light part of the clear wax that Annie Sloan also sells with her paints. And on all of the hardware, I just painted over it with the same paint. And I used the Tim Holtz feet, and there again I did the same thing. I painted over it with the Annie Sloan old white chalk paint, and then with the Distress Ink, Victorian Velvet. So that goes all the way around. And then I made this top portion, and how I made that, I started with a couple of pieces of this from the Tim Holtz configuration boxes, and I started with that because I knew I wanted this part right here. So I started with that, and then I built up around the edges just using pieces of chipboard and gluing them together. That's all I used. So I just built up and built up to get what I wanted. So I made the initial square around the top, and then it goes all the way around like that. And then where the two pieces join, I covered that with some pink velvet ribbon. And then on top of that, I put some of Wild Orchid Crafts' beautiful, I just love, love, love this lace. It's some of their new product, and it's the natural net lace. And I'll put the code numbers for everything down below. But it is so beautiful. It has that netting in it. It has a really antique vintage flair to it. So it's really, really pretty. And I'll just show you, then I also even finished the bottom and put the little note on the bottom. And this is what it looks like on the inside. I used the same fabric that I'm using for my background here. And I lined all of the edges with the flat back pearls that are also from Wild Orchid Crafts. That's these right here. These are just fabulous for finishing off things, to cover up mistakes and to just finish it off really nicely. So I just put that on the bottom. And then on the top, I lined the back with some paper that I had from my stash. I don't even know what line it came from. This pink paper here. I have a piece of vellum that I made a pleated pocket, so it opens up like this. I have a doily that I decoupaged onto the top of some vellum. Now this is old vellum from the Cane Company, I believe. It's really, really pretty vellum. So it has a really nice look, and also again I put the half-back pearls around the top. And then I also used a metal, one of Wild Orchid Crafts metal pieces, back behind here with a piece of pink seam binding and with a pink rose from Wild Orchid Crafts. And I'll put the codes to all of this down below. And make sure you check out their store. It's just so wonderful when you're doing a project like this that they have everything you need to just make it finish and do that extra pop, and so it's really a lot of fun to use. So then I'll go to the top. Now the top, so as you can see, I built it up and built it up, and in the background here, on this area right here, I used some of this fabric right here. You can see it has little pink bows. It's just very subtle but very, very pretty. So that is in the background. And then I have one of the I believe it's a Melissa Francis frame, And I have behind it, I have a picture of a tea party scene, a garden tea party scene. And then I put glossy accents over that, so that's on the back. And then for my girls, I used the Forever Young cartridge, Cricut cartridge. And I actually cut them out 4 times on cardstock, and it's a script Prima cardstock, I believe. And I cut them out 4 times, and then one of the pieces I just cut the dresses off, and then I covered the dresses with the fabric and decorated them. And this girl over here, she also has some pearls at her neckline, and that is from Wild Orchid Crafts pearls. It's these right here. And then they both have a flower in their hat, and that is from this set here. It's the Pink Tone Roses. And you know I use these a lot. They're just perfect. Anyone that does miniatures, you might check out Wild Orchid Crafts because they have quite a few miniature flowers, and it was perfect for this project. Also, for the little vase, I used a couple of beads. I don't know if you can see, and I used a little silver piece on the bottom. I ran a pin up through the bottom and then glued it all. Everything was glued with glossy accents or fabric glue. So I made that little, and then through the top I just stuck in some of these beautiful pastel. They're the Rosebuds. Now these are perfect for miniatures. I've seen a lot of miniatures, and most of them are made out of ceramic, but this, or resin type things, and this is really nice because these are the mulberries, and they are so delicate and so beautifully made. So I stuck 5 of them into this little bead here, if you can see it. And that is a vase on the table. I have a couple of little teacups on the table, and I'm sorry for the glare there, but I also have a transparency on top. And then at the top here I have some of the beautiful Guipure lace. I used it in several places actually. I used it in the bottom of her dress, and then I used it up here, and it's just so beautiful. I think this is one of my favorites. It's the Guipure cream lace, and I'll put the link down below. So now this table and chair set is kind of interesting because I knew what I wanted there, but I didn't really want to go out and pay miniature prices and make sure that it got here in time and that type of thing. So I just used wire. I just turned my own wire, and I made the little chair set and the table. And I just wound it around and used wire, and it turned out so cute. I was just so happy with it because for a little of nothing, it sets the scene that I wanted. And on top of the table, I also put some of this same fabric that you see in the background here. And it worked out really good because it kind of made it a ruffly type of thing, and I wanted it to look like that. And on the seats of the chairs, I knew I needed a little cushion or a little pillow, and I thought I was going to make something, but then I thought of Wild Orchid Crafts' little organza rose trim. So I just cut off a couple of these. I actually have 2 layered on top of each other. And this is the pink organza rose trimming in the small. So for each little pillow, I put 2 together and glued them on. I used fabric glue for that, and I glued them on right there. You can see it. So they made the perfect little chairs. And I think probably one of my biggest challenges with this is that the glue, you need a really firm glue, and I'm just hoping this ships well. But I got a little glue on her dress, and it's kind of a satin material, this dress. So I covered it up by making it look like she's holding behind her back a long stem bouquet of roses. So that's just covering up a mistake. But these roses were perfect for that. And that is the mixed pink tone hip rosebuds. It's those right there. So pretty. And so that worked out. So I just made a little bouquet there. So, and then this piece on top, this piece right here, I made to go around, and on top of that underneath that I put transparency, and then I glued that on top of the whole box. Before I glued it on, I used my air spray like you would use for a computer keyboard to make sure that I got all the little pieces out. So, sorry for the glare, but it really gives it a nice look. And for all of the wood pieces and the moldings and that type of thing, I just used different pieces. These are from the Michaels section. the wood crafting section. I used one of the, I got cut off, so I will finish. I was showing you the wood pieces that I used from Michael's to build up around the window. I also wanted to mention that on the transparency, this is transparency for an inkjet printer, and I did do a French label from the Graphics Fairy, and also I put Lydia's tea room because this box is for Lydia. I won't be posting the video until after she receives it. I want it to be a surprise. So anyway, I just built up the edges with, and I also used pieces of wood down here for the steps, like this, and just built up all the pieces around the window over the transparency. I just put one of these sticks over one of these flat pieces and glued it on there, and then used a little texture paste to kind of build it up, and I had my molding for around the window. So it's just making architectural details, but it's like in a lot of other art, just layering and layering and layering and coming out with something beautiful. And then the top piece here, up here at the top, I have a piece of this. This was from the Home Depot. I've had in my stash for quite a while, so just use that on the top. And also down here at the bottom, I have some Melissa Francis flourishes that are also being an architectural element. And then over here, the door actually opens, and you can see inside. It has a couple of pictures of a teapot and a teacup. And then I made kind of like a little entrance table there, and it has a little frame that says tea party and a little teapot charm. So love how that came out. And so I wanted the steps to go up because I wanted to make sure that my scene here, you could see it in full. So I thought, well, I'll give the idea that you go up the steps into the tea room. So that's why I did it that way. And then on the door door is also just made out of chipboard, and at the bottom I also layered the chipboard, and that's what makes the great design elements, and also on the bottom right. And just gluing pieces together like that, I used my corner rounder on the edges, and that's how I made these pieces here. And then for another little architectural detail, I used some of these antique bronze flower embellishments from Wild Orchid Crafts, and then just glued them on there and also painted over them. But that makes a real nice architectural element. And here again, this door has a transparency as well, and it has the same sign on it, Lydia's Tea Room. I don't know if you can see that. So there it is, it opens up. And then in order for it to not go all the way down, I put a little piece of wood there to stop the door. So then here I have an 82 Tim Holtz piece, and then around the back edge, because I have this piece actually goes over, I used some rose trimming here that I had from my stash to cover it up and make it look pretty from the back. I always like everything to look good from every angle. So that is my box. It's really hard to part with this one because this is so me, and I hope Lydia really loves it and appreciates all the effort and the love that went into making it. And I appreciate so much everyone's comments. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave me a comment, and I appreciate your comments, and I also appreciate all my new subscribers. I've gotten several lately, and I really appreciate all of you, and if you have any questions at all, I'm always happy to answer. And thanks so much for watching. Have a great day. Bye.